The UN just voted on whether or not to end the US blockade on Cuba for the 30th year. The General Assembly, which was attended by 193 member states, showed 185 countries upholding the ruling, with the United States and Israel opposing, and Brazil and Ukraine abstaining. Before Fidel Castro came to power in 1959, a huge portion of the Cuban economy was under the control of US corporations. US companies controlled the island's utilities and railroads. They also controlled a sizable portion of natural resources such as sugar, livestock, tobacco, timber, oil, mining, and agriculture. In the hands of Cuba's new communist government, nationalized all these assets and claimed them on behalf of the Cuban people. The United States retaliated by imposing trade embargoes in hopes of overthrowing the Cuban government. The revolution may have freed the island from the control of US business interests, but even the communists like to profit. Therefore, the Castro government long ago made arrangements with European-based multinationals to distribute Cuban products, including their famous cigars and rum. So maybe, the opportunity to sell the most famous Cuban product in the United States is long past. But that doesn't mean there aren't other options, both for goods imported into the United States and goods exported to Cuba. There are still major hurdles, if one upholds following the rules set in the dim past. By reasonable estimates, the total amount of US assets seized by the Cuban government is somewhere in her $7 billion range. US law requires the money back before the trade ban can be lifted. It is highly unlikely that the Cuban government will hand over the money, but it is always possible to reach other arrangements that open the door to new business. In the first 14 months of the Biden administration, the Cuban economy lost around $6.35 billion, which is equivalent to more than $15 million per day. And stringent blockade remains a central factor in determining US and Cuban policy. After 30 years of the collapse of the Soviet Union, the end of the Cold War, and the passing of the torch by Fidel Castro to his brother Raúl, it is clear to all concerned that the trade embargo has not served its purpose. The General Assembly resolutions are non-binding and non-enforceable, but reflect global opinion. The vote gave Cuba the annual stage to demonstrate US isolation in a decades-long effort to isolate the Caribbean island nation. The embargo was imposed in 1960, after the revolution led by Fidel Castro and the nationalization of property belonging to US citizens and corporations. 2 years later it was strengthened. Then Cuban President Raúl Castro and President Barack Obama formally restored ties in July 2016, the year the United States abstained from a resolution calling for an end to the embargo for the first time. But Obama's successor, Donald Trump, has been a harsh critic of Cuba's human rights record, and in 2017 the United States voted again against a resolution that advances the goal of greater freedom for the Cuban people. When will the sanctions be lifted, and trade relations normalized? Most experts agree that this will not be the case anytime soon. The development of economic ties is slow to adapt, the politics associated with Cuba is complex, and companies may be wary of entering into ties with countries with a reputation for nationalizing assets wherever possible. We just have to wait and watch. If you like this video, be sure to check out other videos in this channel. Also like, share and subscribe. Until next time.